And what inspired the birth of ClassifyMe?
Most of us go through life surviving, but then at the end of it all, you're asking yourself, was it even worth it? I want it to be a future where you ask yourself that question, and the answer is yes, it was worth it.
And what are the other maybe educational gaps in Kenya that ClassifyMe is addressing that not many people know it exists?
I don't know how to answer this.
Okay.
But let me think. I just say, what do you consider decent and meaningful work?
A decent and meaningful work?
Yeah.
I will call it something fulfilling, something that fulfills you, and also kind of prone to success.
Yeah. That's a really great answer. And the thing is, most people, there's a high rate of unemployment, and then there are people who are employed but do not have decent and meaningful work. And this is as a result of skill mismatch in the industry, skill and demand mismatch. So I define decent and meaningful work as work that somebody actually loves doing, number one. And then it's decent when, if you say you're a teacher, you're not ashamed to say it out there, and your family and your parents approve of it, because that is usually a very big part of what we do. So
what is the biggest challenges you face when convincing maybe stakeholders like teachers, schools, or parents on that career guidance can play a role in mental health?
I'd start by saying culture. Culture is something, or rather habit, it's something so hard to change, because I don't think, with my research so far, it's not in our culture as Kenyans to prioritize career guidance, especially for young people.
Hello, wonderful humans. Welcome to Modern Day Comfort by your host, Martin Sambia, where we advocate for mental health through visual arts and talks. And today we have a very, very magnificent guest with us who goes by the name Linda. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, how have you been?
I've been great. I mean, there are bad days and the good days, but generally, I've been great.
Yeah, Linda, this is your second time on our podcast.
It is.
Yeah. And maybe to someone who is seeing you for the first time, how will you best describe yourself to them?
Wow. Okay. This question always gets me. It seems so easy, but it's the hardest. I don't want to say. Okay, Linda is an innovator. Linda is an innovator. Let's start.
A graduate or upcoming graduate?
I don't want to say that.
Okay.
I don't want. What I'm trying to do is, it's a mindset shift that I'm also trying.
Okay.
I don't want to define myself based on what I do or what I've achieved. Like, if we took away school and we went back to Africa, where it is not a modern day campfire, it's an actual campfire, and then people ask you, so who are you?
And that is funny because like I interacted with that question and it was like, how will you describe yourself when your relationship, your job, your achievement, like is stripped away?
Exactly.
And how will you describe yourself in that case?
I don't know. It has been quite a challenge, but I'll start by saying, if I were an animal, I'd want to be a koala bear.
Okay.
Because they're very cute and they sleep all the time. I imagine they have very nice dreams, and if I could just live in my dreams, then that would be amazing. So yeah, but I am an innovator. I am also a daughter. I am a sister. Of course, I am a friend, and I am someone who loves meeting and connecting with people. Yeah, not just on the surface level, but getting to actually know you better. And whenever there's a chance to learn a thing or two from the other person, I'm there.
Yeah, that is quite a description. But thinking of that, how about like Seme, if I was to strip away all that, I feel like going with values, can do something.
Actually, values
and principles. I am a consistent person, or you are a honest person. You know, like yeah. So I feel like we should start defining ourselves with that. For that reason, people will start focusing on morals and values a lot and investing a lot there. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, if a certain mind shift, I'm gonna start working on that also. So yeah, when you come out as a consistent person, like when you say you are a consistent, it doesn't sound like you are bragging or something. Like people can see you are consistent.
Sure.
When you say you are an honest person, you can say it confidently and own it.
Yeah. And it's good, it's always good to talk about your values and principles. I've had the privilege of being taught by this, I don't know if to call him a life coach, but his name is Elijah. And he's very big on, do you understand yourself first before you go out there? Because if you don't understand yourself first, chances are you're not going to understand Martin or the next person that you meet with. And the thing about human life is every day we interact with not one person, but more than one person. And the moment there is interaction, there is always going to be conflict.
Okay.
But how do we resolve these conflicts? And how do we ensure we are living a life that we actually love? It is through like getting to understand yourself and being aware of yourself first before you now get to the next person. Imagine life where I understand when, say, I'm overreacting, and I also now it's easier for me to step out of the equation and understand you from whatever point you're coming from, and just understand like your traits because it's the kind of person you are. It makes interaction much more easy.
Okay, and what is one thing people do get wrong about you?
Wow, that's a hard question.
It really is.
I should have asked that question. I feel like now that's the kind of questions, the kind of topics we should be talking about. But one thing is, most people think I'm nonchalant, especially the people I work with. But I think that is because, when you're at work, you definitely have to draw boundaries, right? And so for me, drawing boundaries and contextualization is something that I'm still learning. So when I'm at work, I want to keep it, this is work. And, I still don't know how to be at work and still be very nice and friendly. So when I'm at work, it's just, this is about work and that's it. And then when we're outside work, then it's outside work. So most of the people I work with tend to think that I am very nonchalant and strict. I don't feel, I don't think I am that kind of person.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't think you are.
It's the opposite, right?
I know. But we've never been in serious work together, so maybe. But environment we've been I wouldn't consider you one. Okay. So today we are going to talk about rethinking our career choices based on purpose, mental wellness, and tech also. And to our viewer, maybe who is joining us at the moment, what is one takeaway or key insight you'd want them to walk away with by the end of this conversation?
I want the listeners to walk away with permission to dream beyond the status quo, to know that they can want anything for themselves. They can want that life, they can want that career that is outside of the box that most people don't even know about. You're allowed to have whatever life you want to have, and that your dreams should scare you just a little, sometimes a lot. But now, when it starts scaring you, then you know you're on the right path, right? And when it starts scaring you, now you start working towards it. You might be afraid, you might second guess yourself once or twice, hell, even 20 times. But do it anyway. Do it afraid, but do it anyway. So that's the one thing I want the listeners to work out with. Permission to know that they can dream beyond the status quo and then actually make it happen because we're the creators of our own lives.
Okay. Yeah, talking of creation, she's also an innovator, and they came up with ClassifyMe app. And when you open that app, the first quote you interact with is the best way to do great work. It's for you to do a great work, you have to do what you love. And if you haven't found it, don't settle. Keep looking. How true is that statement?
I 100% agree with the saying that the only way to do great work is to do what you love. because that is where your intention will be, and that is where your energy will be. And if you're doing something that you actually love, it actually feels lighter on the mind. And at the end of the day, someone feels fulfilled. You might not always like doing it, but at the end of the day, you feel fulfilled because you're doing something that you love. It's like a scenario where we have someone who is a teacher and doesn't like being a teacher. I'm pretty sure you had an experience like that in high school, probably that one teacher who they're not there, their heart is not in it, and they probably just come to class, dictate notes and go.
Yeah.
But you can see a clear difference between that kind of person and someone who actually wants to be a teacher, because then they do not just teach, they nurture.
Yeah.
If it's a doctor who actually wanted to be a doctor, they do not just treat, they heal. And you can see this even from the way they interact with the patients, right? So if someone is doing what they love, they are more inclined to do they're more inclined to do it better. And that is the only way we can move from the mediocrity I feel is in the society. Because at the end of the day, we're doing it, we have to pay the bills. But you see, your heart is not in it. So you will do it just for the sake of. And then we become a society that is so used to the bare minimum and mediocrity that we can't even tell that apart anymore. It becomes the status quo. You see, there we have a problem. So it is difficult sometimes to discover yourself and find what you love. And it might not always be straightforward, but I feel like that is what we should all be aiming for and striving for. And that is the future that we're trying to build at ClassifyMe.
Yeah, that is powerful. And out of curiosity, like since our last episode, it might be like more than 10 months, I assume. And I believe you've really learned a lot of new things, maybe in the world of innovation. So out of curiosity, what have changed? What have you learned in that world?
I have learned that if you are trying to innovate, it goes beyond. The first and most important thing is to solve a problem that exists, right? But then if you're doing it for business, it goes beyond just knowing the problem that you're trying to solve and presenting the solution. You have to have the business acumen to go with it. You have to understand your unit costs, you have to understand the unit economics, you have to understand how you will still provide value to your clients or rather your end users, but still make money out of it. And again, sustainability is at the core of it. So it's not just making money, it's also about sustainability. So when you package it as a product without it necessarily being a business product, then you struggle with the business aspects of it. And if you do not make it sustainable, then chances are it is not going to live to transcend time. It's probably something you're going to do for a few years and then it's no longer sustainable and then you stop doing it. So you have to learn the business acumen that comes with it as an innovator. And then number two, you have to be very adaptable because things change like all the time and every day. You go to the market, you speak to your clients, you realize, oh, I might have gotten this wrong. If you're someone who is attached to the product or rather to whatever they're building, it will be very hard for you to take constructive feedback. But if you're someone who is adaptable and knows how to take feedback, then you take that and consider it a redirection to now focus on actually serving your client. So I feel like those are the two most important things I have learned.
Sustainability
and having the business acumen to go with it.
And also flexibility.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that is powerful. I hope you are taking notes because I am taking notes. So if ClassifyMe was a person, what personality will you give it?
Okay. So are you familiar with the MBTI, Myers-Briggs personality?
Temperament?
Not really. It's the one that classifies people into 16 different personality types.
Okay. I have interacted with it, but now, sir, for temperament, it's like it's an overview of it. Like you've heard of temperaments, or so that one is deep, and I'm just very curious to learn now. Okay.
Okay. So the reason I am more inclined to use MBTI is because that is what you use at ClassifyMe.
Okay.
And MBTI classifies people into
MBTI.
Yes, Myers-Briggs personality test, rather Myers-Briggs indicator.
Indicators.
Yeah.
Okay. And the T, where is the T? MBTI.
Where's the T? I actually don't remember. Okay. But it's Myers-Briggs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's called My Briggs because My Briggs is the one who sort of invented it,
Okay.
or rather discovered it.
Mm-hmm.
So it classifies people into 16 different personality types based on 4 main categories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I started talking about this because I don't remember. But into introversion or extroversion,
Mm-hmm.
thinking or feeling, judging or perceiving, and then the last one is I don't remember the last one.
Okay. Also, I feel like unaona for the temperament, it falls under introversion and extroversion.
Yeah.
You've heard of choleric, or you've heard of them sanguines, yeah. Okay, continue.
But the point is,
okay.
if ClassifyMe were a person, I think the personality would be a natural.
A nature.
Yeah, and that usually translates into ISTJ in terms of my brain's personality test. So what the natural does, they guide, but they're also empathetic, right? But this guiding and empathy is followed by structure, which I feel is at the core of what ClassifyMe does. So we allow you, we do not just shout and tell you this is your career. We allow you to discover yourself and to discover now what work environments you'd be a good fit for, through helping you understand better your personality type, through better helping you understand your interest areas as a person. And then with this now we can help you because we are building more than just career recommendations. It's a career planning platform where now after you get your first recommendations and you think about it and you feel like, yeah, I think I want to focus on working towards this career, then we help you plan for it. So for high school students, that looks like letting them know wherever they are falling short, maybe in a subject, and helping them do better in that, or referring to them or recommending to them activities that they can engage in order to nurture their interest in specific areas. So that by the time someone is finishing high school and now considering university, they have explored, not just in theory, but also in aspects of their life, the different aspects about the careers that they would want to pursue. And you see, the more you explore and the longer you toy around with the idea, the more the clarity comes to you, as opposed to when you just wake up and now you're supposed to decide the career that you're planning. Yeah.
Yeah, that is well put. That is well put. And what inspired the birth of ClassifyMe?
Right. So it was both from a personal struggle, but then the aha moments came later on.
Okay.
And I'll explain why. So I'm about to graduate with a degree in biomedical engineering.
Biomedical engineering.
Yeah.
Congrats.
From Canada University. Thank you. But the thing is, for us, we did the COSUPS applications when we were still in school. So from further put in a room and people are filling out the courses that they want to pursue. And so I knew I wanted to do medicine, right? So that's the only thing that was in my head.
Okay.
And I feel like it was misinformed, partly because I felt all top performing students should just do medicine, right? I did have that inclination towards healthcare, but doing medicine, now that I look at it in retrospect, was just because I felt all top performing students must do medicine. So I fill out medicine as my first choice, and I really loved biology and chemistry, so I do biochemistry second choice, third choice pharmacy, and then I don't know what to put as my last choice. And then somebody just shouts, "Look at biomedical engineering," and that's what I did.
And then you had an idea of what biomedical engineering was?
No, I didn't know what it was. I just needed a placeholder because I needed 4 courses.
Okay.
And then FET, sometimes people say FET is, I don't want to curse, but as fate would have it, FET is a B.
Okay.
And as fate would have it, I got called to biomedical engineering because my performance in English wasn't that great, so I couldn't, I didn't merit for medicine, so I got called to biomedical engineering. And then just thinking about the whole process of switching courses and going to a different university, it was a lot for me to think about at the time. So just decided, now what the hell? Let me go ahead and do biomedical engineering. And I really struggled with the first year because physics and engineering has a lot of physics ideology, so to speak. Physics wasn't really a strong suit of mine. So in first year, we're doing engineering drawing, we are doing it to do physics for engineers one, and it was a lot for me. It was a lot. But then going forward, I kept trying to better understand what the course was, the different career paths that it allowed, and then it also helped me to pursue my other interest, which was in tech, which I didn't even know. So biomedical engineering allows me to diversify in this way. And since then, I've come to love it because now my earlier passion in healthcare is now being combined with my passion in tech, and I can do much more as compared to when I was just a doctor. No offense to the doctors. Yeah, so that was my personal struggle. So in my third year, I meet this student. His name is Tan. Very sharp, by the way, and he was so keen. And I was curious. So speaking to Dan more, I get to learn that Dan was in his final year of business and economics when he decided to drop out and switch to biomedical engineering because he felt that was where his passion lied. And you see, he was fulfilled and he was happy that he was finally where he wanted to be. But 3 years, doing 3 years in the wrong path, and then you come and start over, you imagine what that can do to your mental wellness, right? So then I did more research and discovered that Dan is just a representation of a wider percentage because up to 60% of university attrition rates are attributed to course dissatisfaction. Where the student chose, not knowing well, they come in, they do it for first, second year, and then they realize, no, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And now they figure out what they want to do, and now they are switching. And so that is costly financially, but it's also costly emotionally and socially. So
time also.
Yeah,
3 years is a lot of time.
3 years of your youthful time. That is a lot of time. But the aha moment came. So then I knew like we could solve it, and we started working on a solution project. It was also as a result of the mentorship that we had at Camillo. But then the aha moment when I realized that this is a solution that is actually needed is when we did our first high school outreach at Tumaini High School. It's in Muhoko. I don't know how many people know Muhoko. It's a private school. And it had a population of around, I think, only 50 or 100. But we did a whole day of career exploration, gave talks to the students, introduced them to the web app now at the time. And the feedback that we got was very immense. And it was just so fulfilling knowing that it was just one day of exposing them to this kind of tools and this kind of thinking and this kind of talks. And they spoke so highly of it and they had gained some clarity from it. That's when I knew that it is not like a problem in theory that you're solving, it's a problem that actually exists. Yeah, so that is when ClassifyMe the concept now turned into a movement. Yeah.
Okay. That is amusing, and it's at its second year now.
Yeah.
So like now when you implemented it now, what is the most surprising feedback you've ever gotten from the students?
I don't know about surprising,
Yeah.
but there are a few things that like are a good surprise and a bad surprise.
Okay.
Because yes, you're building this and yes, you have confidence in what you're doing, but the validation normally comes from actually helping people or it's doing what it's intended to. So when we started going to high schools, exposing people to the platform, and then somebody takes the tests, gets the recommendations, and they're like, yeah, this actually is something I could do. I don't know what that moment does to someone. It's like a culmination of everything that you've been doing, all the hard work, all the sweat and the tears sometimes. Now it makes you feel so good about yourself. So that was surprising to me, especially during the first few times, because then it was just a concept. Now the fact that it's actually able to do what's intended to, that was a bit surprising. And I feel like ClassifyMe has really come a long way. And we have worked with teachers and students and some parents to continue improving it. And from the feedback that we've gotten, we've realized that it should go beyond just career recommendations. It should be something that provides value even after the recommendations, because we give you recommendations and so what? That's the question. I think that was the most surprising thing, now that I think of it. Yeah. And then now you're thinking about how do we answer the question, so what? Giving them the recommendations and allowing them to explore doesn't entirely solve the problem. So how better do we solve this problem wholesomely and ensure the students have structured guidance throughout the period that they need it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And beyond ClassifyMe being our career tool, what role does it play in our person's mental wellness, a young person's mental wellness journey?
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll answer that in two ways.
Okay.
So the first one is talking about ClassifyMe not being just a career recommendation tool, but essentially a career planning tool that allows the students to discover themselves. You know, in high school, how you're an adolescent and you feel like everything is going the wrong way, and then you're in school. Sometimes I feel like that environment doesn't actually help. The fact that you're in boarding school and everyone is just so confused. Nobody knows like the right way, right? It comes with a lot of pressure that sometimes doesn't necessarily help in our self growth. But what ClassifyMe does, it gives you the opportunity to discover yourself as you grow, and then also discover your interests and see how this can play into the possible careers that you can choose afterwards. And now, beyond just helping you know the careers and courses that you can pursue, we are introducing a feature whereby we can help you track your progress. So at the beginning, we recommend to you the careers and the courses, and you know that this is where I'd want to be, right? And then now it's a matter of goal setting and working towards that goal. And what we do, we hold your hand and guide you throughout, ensuring that you get to your destination. The other way in which we feed into the mental wellness of the young person is that within this time we need a lot of support as young people, but somehow we usually feel estranged to our parents and teachers and we feel like they don't understand us, right? So one way in which ClassifyMe is trying to make sure that the students and teachers can better support the students is by allowing, there's a teacher and a parent platform where the parents and the teachers can always have access to the students' profile and students' data. So they'll see their performance, they'll see the recommendations that they have, they'll see the goals that they have set. This way, the parents and the teachers can better personalize the support they give to students rather than just saying, oh, Form 2 is mnapanga mchongo, you get. And now that you're in Form 4, we're all working towards this. For some students, I already have the A. How do I know how this fits into my career? But what else am I struggling with? So with the teachers and parents being able to come in and support the students, we feel like that will also improve the mental well-being of the student. Yeah. And that's to knowing what you're working for and having that goal in mind, it usually motivates the students so that it's less about even the struggles that you're facing in school at the time, and it's more about, okay, I'm looking forward to really achieving this. How better do I work towards it? So that motivation aspect, I feel, also feeds into how we help the students' mental wellness. Yeah.
And what are the other maybe educational gaps in Kenya that ClassifyMe is addressing that not many people know it exists?
I don't know how to answer this.
Okay.
But let me think. I just say, what do you consider decent and meaningful work?
A decent and meaningful work.
Yeah.
I will call it something fulfilling, something that fulfills you, and also kind of prone to success. Yeah, I will
Success
just
in terms of money.
For sustenance, like money, and like this is a work that both satisfies internal needs and external needs. So like for fulfillment, internal needs, and for success now the byproducts. I will call it the byproducts now.
By virtue of. That's a really great answer. And the thing is, most people, there's a high rate of unemployment. And then there are people who are employed but do not have decent and meaningful work. And this is as a result of skill mismatch in the industry, skill and demand mismatch. So I define decent and meaningful work as work that somebody actually loves doing, number one. And then it's decent when, if you say you're a teacher, you're not ashamed to say it out there, and your family and your parents approve of it, because that is usually a very big part of what we do. So most of the time, decent and meaningful work Decent and meaningful work means work that someone is actually proud doing, right? And as a result of it, it's something that their family or the people who they care about also approve. So, how do we help people find decent and meaningful work? By ensuring that right from the very onset, there is a skill and demand match. Because the courses and the careers that we are recommending to you, we do a little something called job market satisfaction rating, where it's still very in the early stages, but we want to do research and find out how many teachers are actually satisfied in the teaching profession based on several aspects, right? So we do this across different careers. And now when we are coming to recommend like a career or a course to you, we also look at the fields that are growing and the fields that are changing, and we try to move away from the ones that we feel maybe by that time will be obsolete. Or rather, now, if for example it's a career in teaching and you feel like AI will replace teachers, it's now how can you become a better teacher who also has skills in AI so that you're not replaced. So it's about making sure there's a skill and demand match, and we do that by helping people to upskill outside of just what they're taught in school. I feel like that is something most people don't know, and how it plays into decent and meaningful work. And if you're able to help these people make more informed decisions right from the beginning, then by the time they're getting to when they're starting their careers, then it will definitely lead into decent and meaningful work.
Yeah. And don't you think that could be also the cause behind like poverty? The fact that people go for, like, you talked about skill match. So now you find people doing something that they're totally not interested at all in it. But maybe the driving factor is just money. To a point now they just, like, it create a disconnection. Now people are pursuing, the people who are pursuing what they love, now it's not about money. Like, you have to sacrifice, either you choose success or fulfillment. So like, yeah, that conflict. So when we pursue what we like, when everyone is doing what they don't like, there is that aspect of it. But when there is a meaning, I feel like even with meaning, it's what like go against greed, because when I'm doing something meaningful, like, it's all about the impact, and this creates a spill effect in every aspect of life, compared to when it is the vice versa.
That's very true. And you're not saying money is bad.
Money is good. Money is good. It
money
really
is good, and money is important.
It is important.
At the end of the day, you want to. I mean, when you're now looking or rather grading your life, assuming the time has come, now it's time for Martin to die. God forbid.
Okay.
Now, when you're looking back at your life, how do you want your life to be measured? Do you want it to be measured in terms of the wealth that you had, and will it really matter at that time? Do you want it to be measured in terms of the number of people that you affected? And I really pray that history is kind to all of us. But now, the thing that you should think about is, how do you want your life to be measured? How do you want your life's work to be measured? And in that, now with that in mind, again, with that goal in mind, it's easier to churn out the path that you want to follow when you're still here.
Yeah. And also, like, also even to live a life that you get both, like, you get to be happy and still the byproduct, which is and earn the money.
It's actually possible.
Yeah, it is possible. The fact that it exists, man, go for it. Yeah, you don't have to like sacrifice or compromise one. Can you share with us maybe a short story of a student who used ClassifyMe and they had like a real success?
I would be happy to. And I actually just came to learn about this the other day. I didn't know. So when ClassifyMe was starting like a year back, there is a friend of ours from Kamilini who introduced the brother to that. And being a family of like bright kids, the parents had already said this son is going to do medicine, right? But he did not feel so inclined. So the brother stepped in and told the parents, let us at least use this tool, see what it recommends, and then from there we can have a better discussion on what they can do. So the student uses ClassifyMe, and then they realize that I actually have an incline towards computers and tech, and so it recommends to them computer science. And when they start thinking about it, they're like, yeah, I could actually thrive in computer science, more than I would thrive in medicine. And now the student is happily doing in their, I think, their third year, doing computer science. And we were talking to the brother the other day, and they're like, you guys don't know just how much you helped. Because this boy would have ended up in medicine, which he didn't even like, but now he's happily pursuing computer science. He's so great at it. When I had that, and I was just like, yeah, now we have to make it. We have to make it even better. Yeah, so that's one example.
Yeah, that is a good one. That is a good one. And what is the biggest challenges you face when convincing maybe stakeholders like teachers, schools, or parents on that career guidance can play a role in mental health?
I'd start by saying culture. Culture is something, or rather habit, it's something so hard to change. Because I don't think, with my research so far, it's not in our culture as Kenyans to prioritize career guidance, especially for young people. And even when people do it when they are in the later stages of their careers, maybe they want to switch careers, it's still considered a luxury, right? But it isn't. Because the career coaches cost like 10K per session or 1,500 per session, depending on who. People consider generally issues to regarding mental wellness and coaching as a luxury. But you see, for careers, we can't afford to keep thinking about it that way. And beating that culture has been the greatest challenge. Because you find that schools would spend a lot of money paying a motivational speaker to come and tell the kids how he started his poultry business with just feathers. Or that one chick he got from his grandma. And I'm not saying that is bad, but they would rather spend on that as opposed to spending on a career counselor or a career day for their students. And you see, it makes you question where we are as a country and where our priorities lie. Because in my thinking, I don't know if you agree, career guidance would serve the students better as opposed to bringing someone to motivate them. Because at the end of the day, it's motivation towards what? You do not know the goals that you're working towards. It's just motivation to get through this moment. And most of the time, it's not, it's very short lived. Because I remember when we were in high school, I used to take in the motivation because I actually appreciated that they would take their time to come and share their stories. But that isn't the case in all high schools. Most of the students, they would actually mock it, and then they get out of class, probably listen, and that motivation is ringing in their head for the next 1 or 2 days, and then it's back to default. So it doesn't really have a lasting effect. And I find that in most cases, this is what people would rather spend on, especially the decision makers. In this case, the teachers and like those are the heads of the schools. So culture and trying to convince parents, you see, it's not just about telling your kid may think you should be a doctor. Let us actually find out if this would fit them. That has been the issue. Yeah. Because you see, they come from a tradition or rather from a point where they were told, I will end up finding nothing. And they went and did it, and now they're here. So most of the time, the parents or the close relatives, they want to impart the dreams they did not live on the kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does work, but sometimes it's not a fit at all. It's not in their interest area, they do not merit for it, and you're just forcing issues on the kid. And then they finish campus and they're like, yeah, now let me start doing what I actually want to do. Or it causes a drift between you. I mean, we all just only live once, so let us allow them to. We'd rather guide them and show them the right way rather than imparting things on them.
Or controlling.
Exactly.
Do you have a hero?
I think I have a number.
A number? Okay. Who are your 3 heroes?
With 3 heroes.
Yeah.
My mom.
Your mom?
Dr. Chow. I feel like I'm speaking a lot about women only. But I'd speak to the
It is understandable.
Yeah. I'd speak to the two. My mom and Dr. Chow. Yeah.
And could you expound further? Why do you consider your mom a hero?
Yeah.
And why do you consider Dr. Chow a hero?
I would love to. I mean, I consider my mom a hero because she has been, I feel like I come from privilege because nobody has forced me to do anything I didn't want, right? Even when I chose biomedical engineering, it was not because my parents forced me to. It was merely because I lacked the proper structure or proper knowledge. And she constantly supports me Right now I'm not working.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on ClassifyMe, and I might not be able to pay myself that much amount of money, but I still need to pay my bills. So it becomes difficult to think about your dream when survival is constantly on your mind. You see what she does, she is there for me financially, she's there for me emotionally, and she constantly keeps encouraging me. And I think it takes a lot to be able to see beyond just because if I were her or she were any other parent, I would have gotten a job and probably be paying black tax or paying fee for one of my siblings by now. But she's patient enough to see my dream and dream with me and acknowledge that it can actually go somewhere. Yeah, so I really appreciate.
Yeah, she's a hero.
Appreciate that.
She really is a hero. Thank God I asked that question.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not complaining or yeah, but I know people who had to like because of having impatient parents, like what they were convinced was the reality was looking for a, they will call it look for a not even real job. Look for a real job. This is a job that brings bills. Yeah, and for these reasons we sacrificed our purpose. Yeah, we sacrificed our purpose. We stopped dreaming.
That's the worst thing that would ever happen to someone.
Yeah, and we started existing. Yeah, she's a hero. Yeah, to any mother who is watching, please, this might be a good takeaway. Yeah, to any parent, like it really plays a role because when we talk about like for youths, I feel like any we could have long term goals na short term goals, but when someone is under a pressure of just satisfying the bills, these are short term goals, and it can be a rat race like for the rest of our life.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
It ends up becoming one.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good. Like yeah, especially when your kid has a dream, yeah, to show up the way her mom is showing up.
Yeah, because you know, as kids, we are very impressionable, and the first person that you ever look up to as a kid is your parent. So if it's your parents stifling your dream, then you see it's because it's someone you hold in very high regard.
Very true.
It makes a difference when it's just a stranger telling you, "We watch a job, go get a real job," than when it's your parent. It actually hits home. It hits really hard.
Really hard. So going against it sounds like a disrespect.
Exactly. So it's really important that we as parents, or rather we as the people hold dearly, learn to support and not stifle them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. To Dr. Chow. Kenyan?
Yeah, she's Kenyan.
Okay.
Her name is Dr. Chow Mbogo. She's the founder and lead at Kamilimu, where I was mentored and where ClassifyMe was birthed. And from her, I learned the importance of, again, dreaming and going for your dream, whether you're afraid or not. Because she had to drop out of her job in academia, which was doing really well, to pursue Kamilimu, which at the time was nothing more than just an idea, because she wanted to provide more structured support to students outside of just the usual. You know how campus is. You go to class, the lecturer stands there, talks about something. Most of the time, we don't even listen. And then you're cramming for exams and you get out, and then you come out here and realize that your skills don't even match. So, what she did, she decided to, she stopped working in academia, not because she is opposed to it or anything, but because she felt like she could better supplement what we learn in university through Kamilimu. So as a student who is tech oriented, you go to Kamilimu and then you get to learn all those things that school doesn't provide. So you get to learn the soft skills, we call them human skills at Kamilimu, how to communicate your science, how to work well or rather play with others. And then learning is so much fun at Kamilimu because it's infused with play. Yeah. So from her, I learned the importance of being true to your dream, because if she hadn't been, she would still be in her very well-paying job in academia, right? But she wanted to build something bigger than herself. That's how she wanted her life's work to be measured. So she went ahead and built Kamilimu through the uncertainties, through not knowing probably where her next paycheck will come from. And now she has succeeded in building something bigger than herself. Kamilimu is what, 7 or 8 years now? I was part of cohort 7. And right now they're in cohort 9. And so Kamilimu is 9 years old. These are all years of impact. And if you see the people who have been through Kamilimu, you just know it. We call it the Kamilimu advantage. Yeah. So it takes a different kind of strength to be able to want to build something bigger than yourself and actually see it through. That is why I consider her
your hero. Yeah. And from the look of things, you've like talked about how mentors like her have played a role in your journey. And I know it's gonna be a repetition question, but now I know there is a guest who is now like want to grasp this consciously now. So what are the role of mentorship in the birth of ClassifyMe?
I mean, without Kamilimu, the mentorship program, ClassifyMe wouldn't have even been to start with.
Okay.
Because it's through Kamilimu that we learned about innovation and how we can extend ourselves to solve problems outside of what we know. And that kind of mindset is what pushed me and my co-founders to build ClassifyMe to begin with. And now how ClassifyMe is incorporating mentorship is we do not just do mentorship through we do not just do career exploration through the app. We organize expos, and most of the time we call for volunteers. So professional volunteers are people who are already working, people who are already in these careers and want to give back, or rather feel like there's some information that if they would have had when they were in high school or when they were transitioning from high school to uni, would have made a big impact in their lives. So they come and volunteer with ClassifyMe. And when we do these high school outreaches, we go with the professionals so that a student who wants to become a doctor can speak to an actual doctor and get to understand what the day in the life of a doctor looks like, right? And then from there, they can make more informed decisions. They get the real deal, not what they read on Google. And then it's infused with personal stories so that it's even more impactful. So as opposed to having one motivational speaker, it's like having several of them. And right now we have a team of 53 wonderful professionals who we work with. And we have
in ClassifyMe now.
And we have representations in over 13 different career fields. So we just had our last expo this April where the professionals had like a booth set up and then students who were in high school signed up and then they came and spoke to these professionals and it was an amazing day. They learned so much more. Some of them got to know about careers they didn't even know. And you see, most of the time we only know about the very mainstream careers. But even those mainstream careers have other parts to it that most of us don't know. And the only way we know it is by speaking to those people who are working in them. I also learned a lot myself. I learned a lot because, like, for example, in civil engineering, you can do water, you can do roads. People mostly just think of civil engineering and they think about roads, right?
Yeah. Including me and those people.
Guilty. Okay. But yeah, that's the point. So we ensure that the students have access to mentorship through getting access to the people already working who can speak to them about these different careers from their personal perspectives. I feel like personalization, it really is the core best because that is what we strive for. So they're not just abstract stories, they're actual stories of impact. And we're looking forward to having it in such a way that if you're going to say Mugoiri Girls, for example, we speak to the alumni of Mugoiri Girls who already work in the different careers. And we have a career day where the alumni of Mugoiri Girls are the ones who come. Because it does something to your mind knowing that this person was once here, sitting in this desk that I'm sitting, and now they're out there living their best life because the person is something they like. So when it's that way, the concept doesn't seem too far-fetched and it's brought closer home so that the students can relate more with them. Yeah.
This is very eye-opening and interesting in terms of because I know Dr. Chow, like maybe Pia, she had another, it's a lady, she had another mentor, like resulted to birth of Kamilimu. The way you're talking about Kamilimu, I know like many other people are talking about it like that, and it has brought fruition to something else. And years then, there are people who will be talking about ClassifyMe like this. Now, this is the impact of meaning, having meaning in life. Like it's just, I'm just looking at that compounding effect. And if this journey continues, like the way many people, like now, maybe Dr. Chow, maybe the mentor who she had, maybe it was a self-made mentor, maybe. You, it's the result of Dr. Chow, the self-made mentor, and now you. So someone who will get it from ClassifyMe, it will be now from June, from Dr. Chow indirectly, and it will be just something else that we can't explain. And this is very, very interesting. And please don't stop, like go for it. Like the fact that you've done it for second year, for 2 years now, yeah, I believe now you have meaning in it. And I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for things like this. Yeah, because yeah, like meaning is coming to fruition, and that is a good thing. So for ClassifyMe, if you were to come up with another futuristic future without budget limit, what will it be?
I was just thinking about that, and oh my god, maybe it's also because I'm very into tech. So I was thinking of, you see how we talk about, so we're talking about hearing about the life in the day of a doctor, for example, from a doctor. How about if you could actually experience it without having to be a doctor immediately? So we are currently catering for that by offering job shadowing programs where students who are in high school over the holiday, they can go to our partner companies and shadow people in different careers if those are the careers that they want to pursue. For example, if I want to be like a financial analyst and we are partnered with company X, now we take you to company X over the holiday for a week or two to see what the life of a financial analyst look like. They could give you different tasks and assignments, but you just shadow them as they do their job to get to better understand that. Now, in the future, to make it more sustainable and if there were no budget limits, I would think about VR, virtual reality, where you could have ClassifyMe stats and you just immerse yourself saying you want to be a doctor. You suit something and then you're like, yeah, now you're a doctor in that virtual reality. And you actually experience the life of a doctor for whatever amount. It could be like for 30 minutes, but then it simulates the life of a doctor for say like a month or like a year. So by the time you're coming out of it, in 30 minutes, you live the life of a doctor for a year. I feel like knowing that would be really important because then you'd know if there's an environment I could survive in, I could actually enjoy working in, and if this really is my calling. So no budget limits, no nothing. That would be my dream.
Your dream.
Yeah.
Talking about VR reminds me of your fun fact, which is reading minds.
Yeah.
Where is that rooting from? And why do you find it important?
I find it fascinating how the human brain works and how people think, and just from the mere knowledge that we are the creators of our own reality, we are the creators of whatever life that you want to live in. So you can imagine something so profound that you can create whatever you want into existence. Then it means it's a different kind of thinking and it's very complex. And I don't know if it's just because I love taking on challenges, but I am challenged every day to better understand how we think. Because now, if you do something like the way you took that glass of water, it's probably not just a surface level. What actually happened in your mind to convince you that you need to drink some water and you took it, and how do you now actually feel? So now this in a different setting would look something like understanding why people make certain decisions or why people do the things that they do. Sometimes it's not as pretty, but how the human brain works, how the human mind works, I find it beautiful in both its downsides. Because when it creates something really good, it can actually create something so amazing. And the other side is also so true, the vice versa is also so true. So coming to understand now how this actually works, I feel like it's something that fascinates me.
Okay.
So if I had the power, I'd want to read people's minds. Yeah. And probably know what you're thinking right now.
That one will be okay. Okay. So if maybe ClassifyMe could read minds of people, what do you think it will find more common in most of the students?
More common.
Yeah.
I feel like it would find that most of the students just want to live and enjoy their life.
Yeah.
Whatever, it doesn't matter which career they fall into, but they want it to be something that they actually enjoy and makes them feel fulfilled at the end of the day. Yeah, I think that is what it would find if it could read minds. So now the job becomes guiding you toward that path where you find something that fulfills you and still is able to sustain you. So that we stop surviving and actually start thriving in life. Because I feel like most of us go through life surviving and surviving. And then at the end of it all, you're asking yourself, was it even worth it? I want it to be a future where you ask yourself that question and the answer is yes. It was worth it and I wouldn't change anything about it. Not regrets. Yeah.
By any chance, did you watch a movie called Grownish?
Yeah, I did watch
Oh, you did watch it. When did you watch it?
I thought my campus life was gonna be like that.
Oh, yeah.
I watched it
While in high school?
2019. No, when I had just finished Form 4.
From 4,
Yeah,
yeah.
waiting to get into campus.
Yeah. Like that environment, like, or what I saw in that movie, like it made me like to believe like you can be happy and still successful. Because as much as it was a movie, and but at the end of the day, like when you look at it, as much as they are acting, they love what they're doing. Like they are actors, and they get to, if they were models, they were, and that was enough evidence for me to pursue like what I love doing, and like just believing in it and going in fully. It's what like I feel like the whole point is trying to be an outstanding, avoiding the mediocre. Like for the mediocrity, now utambiwa go for real job, because you are just playing around. Yeah, but when you try to be outstanding and like you try to reach to spaces where people have never reached, I feel like now these creates are different. You can pursue what you love.
And life is too precious to go through it just ordinary, going through the emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, dare yourself, become extraordinary, see what that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is, yeah. I still watch that movie, like I still go back, and sometimes I do get motivations out of it. Yeah, because like it always show me that it is possible. Even if we follow up from those characters, most of them are living the life they want, and they are living it large. Yeah. And yeah. Okay, I will watch it today. Yeah, I will relax with it today.
That's love.
Yeah. So, what is one misconception that many people believe it in career choices that ClassifyMe is trying to bust it out?
The misconception, I'm not sure how true it still holds, but for the longest time, people have known medicine, engineering, law, and architecture.
Okay.
Rather, as the go-to courses. And these are the only things, especially the parents, these are the only things that you can do if you want to become somebody in life. But times have changed, the world is changing. Now there's AI, right? There's so many people are making tons of money out of content creation. There is social media. Doesn't mean content creation is not a good career, because people would advise you from doing that. But if it's what you feel is your calling, because it's just an evolution of marketing, right? A content creator is, because that's how they make their money, is basically just a creative who makes money outside of their marketing skills. And they're able to, can you imagine just how beautiful it is, because you're able to convince people to actually like you so much so that if you tell them to do something, they just do it. It's so immense, and I don't know why people don't play it. But the thing is, times are changing. There are so many career avenues that people can explore, and the fact that these are the mainstream ones doesn't mean they're the only ones. So that is what ClassifyMe is trying to move away from. It's trying to let people know all the available choices that are there, and then from there, after knowing, okay, so there's XYZ, like the Z number of choices. Now, how do I find the one that is the best fit for me?
Yeah, that is well put. And maybe to our audience, I know there is someone who is wondering, like, now how can we ClassifyMe is really, really a good thing. How can we support it? How, like, what role can we play? How can we also impact it? Or how can we be part of it? Or how can you be part of us? So what will you tell them?
There are so many ways that ClassifyMe could use the support right now. And one of the ways is financially. So if you want to donate and support our work, we are open to that. But apart from that, I've mentioned that we work with mentors and professionals who are already working and are in the field. And if you're out there and you're listening and you'd like to give back your time in that manner, talking to students, telling them about your profession, letting them understand the nitty-gritties of what happens, aside from just the surface level knowledge that we have, that is also welcome, because we love working with people who want to give back and who want to mentor. So if you're a professional and you want to give back in that way, that is so welcome. Aside from that, it's just letting people know that you're here because you're still young and you're just starting out, and probably there's someone you know who could use the solution, but they don't know that there is such a solution. So if you find anyone who might need it, let them know. If you know of any parents, let them know that hey, there's a way you can better support your kids to better understand themselves and know that the careers that they're a good fit for. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And right now we are doing high school outreaches. So if you feel your alma mater, for example, could benefit from, because we organize career expos and career days. So if you feel like your alma mater, or rather where your kid studies, they could benefit from a career day, I'm more than happy to facilitate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And ClassifyMe is also a mobile app.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also you have like a website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's both a mobile app and
Mm-hmm.
a web app.
Mm-hmm.
So, but aside from the app, we also offer like in-person career talks and career training. So, yeah.
And you do
It's
workshops too.
Yes, we do workshops.
How was the last workshop you had?
Oh, it was amazing. The expo was nothing short of amazing. I think it's the best thing that I have done in a while. Yeah, and just it coming to life and actually fulfilling its purpose. True, for sure, there's nothing better than that, because it was just so fulfilling, and now I'm looking forward to the next one. Now I have a newfound energy to keep working with ClassifyMe because I know how many students it can impact when we get to them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we will. Are you intending to host any? Do you have like a clear or still working on it?
Still working on it because right now we are focusing on working with schools. So if you know of a school that would want for us to organize such an expo for them, we are happy to start the discussion. But having an independent one, that's still a work in progress. Yeah.
Yeah. You are doing a great work. You really are doing and I'm just happy to to know people like you. Like for some reason you keep me going, and you are also creating impact, and yeah, that is just
Thank you.
incredible. Okay, so to our viewers, thank you for your never-ending support. Do you like have socials?
Oh yeah.
You do? Awesome. Maybe you can share them with them, then I will still share it with you on our description. Yeah. Okay, but you can just tell them too.
So yeah, we are ClassifyMe, just that one word, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter and Instagram as _ClassifyMe_. But if you even search our website, you'll get all the links and all the information you need there. So we'll be more than happy to have you. Sounds like you're looking for a way to categorize your social. Get your feedback. Yeah.
You're not in TikTok.
Oh yeah, we are on TikTok. I keep forgetting. But so it's just ClassifyMe on LinkedIn, and then _ClassifyMe_ on TikTok, Instagram, and
Twitter.
TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Yeah.
Okay. So, and what do you normally share with people there?
We share about the work that we do. So like the expo, there was a lot of information about the expo, but we generally also just try to sensitize people about career choices, what to look out for, and how to better guide our students and those around us to make more informed career choices. Sometimes we host like webinars to also talk about the same. We also do individual webinars for students who are trying to find their path, and they feel like the tool is not enough. So where a human being has to come in, and we are more than happy to provide that support as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your never-ending support. Keep on doing what you're doing. You're the part of the reason why we are still motivated in what we are doing. So thank you, and do have a nice time. Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah.